Tough to watch. In case you did not realize this, Caitlin Clark did not start again. But judging by the response, everybody noticed. Everybody noticed. Paige Beckers, 12 points. I got to tell you, if the ball goes to Paige Beckers, forget about it. She's not going to pass it to nobody. That's where the ball goes to die. Kaylee Copper, 15 points, 1 rebound. And Caitlin Clark, 12 points, 5 assists in the game.
Look at that stat line. 12 points, 5 assists, and a plus 27. That plus minus wasn't just the best on Team USA, it led the entire game. And yet, for the third consecutive World Cup qualifying game, Caitlin Clark didn't start. Not once. Let that sink in. The player who had the biggest impact on the game watched the opening tip from the bench.
Not surprised, really. It's funny you should bring that up. Rachel DeMitta. Only 2 players have not started for Team USA. Ray Burrell and Caitlin Clark. What? Yeah. That's where everybody noticed it. For the third World Cup qualifying game in a row, Caitlin.
Here's what makes this even more telling. Rachel DeMitta broke down the numbers, and they're damning. Only 2 players on the entire USA basketball roster haven't started a single game in this tournament, Ray Burrell and Caitlin Clark. Every other player has gotten at least 1 start. Every single one. So we're not talking about rotation management or load balancing. This is a deliberate choice.
Against Senegal, they put the starting lineup out there like 45 minutes or an hour before the game. Well, after the backlash of Caitlin Clark not starting in that game, they are not dropping this starting 5 graphic until right after tip-off now. They're waiting till the game is actually tipped off, and then they're dropping this on their Twitter feed.
Notice something interesting about the timing? In the first game against Senegal, USA Basketball posted their starting lineup graphic 45 minutes before tip-off. Standard procedure. But after the backlash exploded over Clark not starting, they changed their strategy. Now they wait until after the game tips off to drop the lineup graphic on social media. They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to minimize the reaction by burying the information when fewer people are watching their feed.
Just to check this out, these 2 middle quarters were ugly. 22 points to 19 points, 19 points to 15 points. This game, look, I understand it was a 30-point victory. But there were 2 quarters where it was really, really competitive. And, wow. So, Caitlin Clark, let's check it out right here. Kaylee's going to throw the ball over to Caitlin. And Caitlin's going to drive back in the lane after the pass back from Hamby. And laid it in right there.
Watch this sequence carefully. Clark receives the ball from Kelsey Mitchell, drives into the lane, gets the pass back from Dearica Hamby, and finishes with a smooth layup. Then later in the game, she pulls up from way beyond the arc, no hesitation, pure confidence, and drains it. But here's the play that should terrify opposing defenses. She drives baseline, executes a picture-perfect turnaround fadeaway that looks like vintage Michael Jordan, and hits nothing but net. If Caitlin Clark has added that turnaround jumper to her arsenal this season, the WNBA better prepare itself. That's a weapon that makes her virtually unguardable. She can already shoot from 30 feet, break down defenses off the dribble, and create for teammates. Now add a mid-range turnaround? That's a complete offensive package.
Later on in the game, pull up, way downtown, booyaka, knocked it down, no problem. Guys, I don't know when they're going to let her start. I really don't. I really don't. Watch this little, she's going to hit a little Michael Jordan turnaround here that's going to be nice. She's going to drive, turn around, shoot the ball, bam, 3-pointer. If Caitlin Clark has that in her toolbox this year, folks, nasty ass work. That's going to be vicious.
But let's talk about what happened in the second and third quarters, because this is where the controversy gets deeper. The first quarter was a blowout, minus USA jumped out to a massive lead, but the middle 2 quarters, 22-19, 19-15. Suddenly it's competitive. The opponent is hanging around, and guess who's not on the floor for most of the third quarter? Caitlin Clark didn't check in until there were about 3 minutes left, and when she was on the court, something else became obvious. She'd get the ball, make a pass to a teammate, and that ball wasn't coming back. Not once, not twice, a pattern. Paige Buecher scored 12 points, and if the ball went to her, the possession was over. Clark would facilitate, create opportunities, and then watch the offense stagnate without her involvement.
I'm open. Look, people want to say, oh, don't start conspiracies. You tell me, what is it? Yeah, you tell me what the agenda is then. Because for the life of me, I can't think of no good damn reason that Caitlin Clark shouldn't have started the game by now. Seriously. How's a bottom feeder like Copper starting over Caitlin Clark? Woo! I gotta tell you, are you kidding me? Caitlin Clark, you should play for Italy. Leave them for real.
The fan reaction tells you everything about how this is being received. People are tuning in specifically to watch Caitlin Clark play for Team USA, and they're being told to wait. They're being told that the player who dominated college basketball, who's transformed WNBA ratings, who brings more viewers than anyone else in women's basketball, needs to earn her spot behind players who objectively had less impact on the game. One comment captured it perfectly. I tune in and I'm like, oh, Caitlin Clark's playing. Sort of. That's not how you treat your most marketable player during an international showcase. Sports is an entertainment product, and when your most entertaining player is sitting on the bench for no apparent basketball reason, you're failing at the most basic level.
Facts. Look, I'm always in the chat to talk to anybody during the Ben Daniels stream, watch party on the game. I'm going to tell you right now, that gets brought up. That gets brought up by someone every time. That there's an agenda, straight white girl, yada, yada, yada. Look, that's just what this league has done to itself. Seriously. It's crazy. You guys are an absolute clown show. They won't start Clark just because we want her to start. I've been watching the games. I usually don't, but I like rooting for our country. You guys are making it hard. Think about.
Here's where this gets uncomfortable, and we need to address it directly because fans are bringing it up in every single stream, every comment section, every discussion about these games. The accusations about why Clark isn't starting have moved beyond basketball analysis into territory that USA Basketball absolutely does not want to navigate. When fans start questioning whether decisions are being made based on anything other than merit and performance, you've lost control of the narrative. And USA Basketball's response? Silence. No explanation, no press conference addressing the decision. No coach going on record to explain the rotation strategy, just lineup cards posted after tip-off and hope the blowout score makes everyone forget about the controversy.
I mean, come on. Come on. Seriously. Are they trying to bring Clark back slowly? Nah, she could go out there and ball out right now. You got to remember, she made it very clear she's 100%. Don't let the white folks see this lineup. Yeah, I mean, that's... come on. I mean, honestly. Well, boycott and watching until the best player, Caitlin Clark, is in the starting lineup. The coach is a woke bitch. Boycott. Woo! Look out. This is what you get. You got the most popular player by a large margin in the league.
Think about what this controversy represents for the broader WNBA landscape. Caitlin Clark spent her entire rookie season dealing with this exact dynamic being held to different standards, facing physical play that wasn't called, watching officials and league decision makers treat her differently than they treated other players. Now she's representing her country, and the same pattern emerges. This isn't happening in a vacuum. This is happening after a WNBA season, where Clark brought record ratings, sold out arenas, and single-handedly changed the conversation around women's basketball. She proved beyond any doubt that she's a transformational talent, and the response from USA Basketball is to bring her off the bench behind players who can't match her production. Let's be specific about the basketball argument, because that's what should matter. Kelsey Plum started at point guard in these games. Plum is a talented player, no question, but compare the numbers. Clark averaged 19.2 points and 8.4 assists during the WNBA season while dealing with the most physical defensive attention the league could throw at her. She led the league in assists as a rookie. She broke the rookie scoring record. She made plays that no other point guard in the WNBA was making. So what's the basketball justification for starting Plum over Clark? Experience with the national team system. Clark proved in her first game back from injury that she doesn't need an adjustment period. Chemistry with the other starters, she had a plus 27 in this game, which means the team dominated when she was on the floor. Defensive concerns. Clark's defensive rating improved dramatically over the course of her rookie season, and she's playing against international competition that's significantly weaker than what she faced in the WNBA. Strip away everything else and you're left with a simple question: what basketball reason exists to keep your most productive player out of the starting lineup? Nobody from USA Basketball has answered that question. They can't answer it because there isn't a good answer. Here's what this decision reveals about the institutional mindset. There's a segment of decision makers in women's basketball who are deeply uncomfortable with Caitlin Clark's popularity. They don't like that she brought a new audience to the sport. They don't like that casual fans tune in specifically to watch her. They don't like that she's changed the economics and attention around the WNBA in ways that expose how poorly the league was marketed before she arrived. And so they make decisions like this. Decisions that punish her for being too popular, too visible, too transformational. They convince themselves it's about paying dues, earning respect, fitting into the system, but it's really about control. It's about making sure she knows that no matter how many records she breaks or how many fans she brings, the gatekeepers still have power over her. The tragedy is that this approach is actively harming USA Basketball's own interests. They have a chance to showcase their most marketable player on an international stage, to build momentum for the next Olympic cycle, to grow the sport globally by featuring someone who transcends traditional women's basketball audiences. Instead, they're creating controversy, alienating fans, and generating headlines about everything except the basketball. Watch what happens moving forward. If Clark continues to dominate in limited minutes, if she keeps posting the best plus-minus numbers while coming off the bench, the pressure on USA Basketball will become unbearable. They can ignore Twitter comments and YouTube reactions, but they can't ignore performance. And if they continue to start inferior players while Clark produces at an elite level, they'll have to answer questions they clearly don't want to answer. The most frustrating part? This is entirely self-inflicted. USA Basketball could have avoided this entire controversy by making the obvious basketball decision and starting their best point guard. Instead, they chose this path, and now they're dealing with fans who are openly questioning their motives, their competence, and their commitment to winning. So here's the question for everyone watching. If Caitlin Clark continues to be the most productive player on the floor, if she keeps leading the team in plus-minus while coming off the bench, if she keeps making plays that no one else on the roster can make, minus, at what point does USA Basketball have to admit they made the wrong call? Or will they stick with this decision out of pure stubbornness, even if it means creating a toxic dynamic that follows this team into bigger competitions? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you think this decision is purely about basketball, explain to me what basketball justification exists for benching your most productive player. I'll wait.